Welcome to Schueys BBQ, where you'll learn the tips and tricks to master your grill. Today, I'm going to be doing a lamb roast on a rotisserie. Now, if you do like this video, don't forget to give it the thumbs up, share it with your mates. But the best thing you can do is hit the subscribe and the bell buttons. That way, you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. That's right, today I'm roasting a leg of lamb on the rotisserie. Now if you don't have a rotisserie, I suggest going out and get one because they are awesome. Nothing beats the flavour of a leg of lamb spinning around on that rotisserie, getting nice and dizzy and basting itself in its own juices through the entire cook. Now to prep this, we need to first off trim off all the hard fat on the leg of lamb. Not all of it, but let's get most of those bigger pieces off because they're just not going to render down while we're cooking it. So we've taken off the majority of the hard fat on the outside of the leg of lamb. Don't have to take it all off. I still like a little bit of fat on there for it to render down, but all the bigger chunks, they're just not going to render down. Now we need to prep this leg of lamb to get as much flavour in it as possible. So using a sharp knife, I'm going to do a crisscross pattern, just slicing into the flesh, maybe about 5 mil. It's just going to give us more surface area to put our paste on a bit later. Now to make things easier, now we're going to put the leg of lamb onto the skewer and just don't do up the screws too tight yet. We'll adjust that once we get it onto the Weber. Now that the lamb is all scored and put on the skewer, it's time to make up our paste for the outer of the lamb. This is going to give a nice savoury flavour to that crust that we're going to create by cooking it over charcoal. Now, first off, all we just need to do is mix up some olive oil, some cracked black pepper. We need to add some lemon juice, some lemon zest. We want some rosemary in there, some thyme, some sea salt, and some anchovies. No need to rewind that. Yes, I said anchovies. You won't actually taste the anchovies in this mix. They'll just give a nice umami flavour to the outside of the crust. Now all we need to do is cut up some little sprigs of rosemary and some slithers of garlic, and we're going to get a small paring knife and make incisions about 5 centimetres apart all over the flesh and stick these in. And these are just going to help push that flavour into our meat. Alright, today we're cooking in the Weber Kettle at a high indirect heat. How we're going to achieve this is we're going to fill up a charcoal starter with lump charcoal and light it. Once that's fully ashed over, we're going to dump that into our charcoal baskets. They've got to be pushed together, just makes it a little bit easier. Using an old pair of tongs, you can just even it out and then drag those baskets to either end of your charcoal grate. Okay, it's time to get that leg of lamb into the Weber, but before we do, let's place a pan down the bottom and we're going to put 3 roughly chopped onions in there and 3 cups of water. This is just going to be our base for our gravy. Now to track the internal temp of the lamb, I'm going to be using an EC pin today, a totally wireless thermometer. And remember, when we pick the skewer up, be careful because we didn't do those screws up tightly. Once the skewer's in the Weber, we just want to slide it along, position it right in the middle, tighten up those screws and put the lid on. We're about an hour into the cook and I'm just thinking about all those juices that are flowing over that leg of lamb, and I haven't had to lift the lid because that EC pin is keeping a nice track of the temp for me. But an hour in is when I want to add in the vegetables that I want to cook. I'm doing some Hasselback potatoes and I'm doing some carrots and onion. So let's get them in. You just have to put in another grill and we'll put these on top so they're sitting above the charcoal. So today's cook's been done at a high indirect heat, well over 200 degrees Celsius. Now I'm tracking the internal temp to 59 degrees Celsius. then it's going to come off for a rest, and that will keep climbing to about 62 degrees, which is a perfect medium. And we're looking at about a 2-hour cook. Or for those of you who like to follow my beer timer, you're looking at about a 4-beer cook. Okay, our leg of lamb is ready to come off. So all we have to do is take it over, take it off the skewer, put it on a resting tray, cover it with some foil and an old towel, and we're going to let this rest for 30 minutes. I'm a big believer of letting lamb rest for a longer period than other cuts of meat. Alright, it's time to take out the drip tray that's got the juices in it. We're going to make a gravy out of that. And it is so simple, you're going to be kicking yourself. You haven't been doing it yourself for years. Now, all we got to do is scrape the contents into a saucepan and put it over a medium to high heat. And we're going to add some beef stock and some wine. And we're just going to let that simmer, cook off the alcohol a bit and let it reduce. Once that's reduced a bit, another saucepan, we're just going to melt some butter, add some plain flour, and just stir that until we've got a nice brown, nutty type of mixture. We'll add that to our gravy mixture and it will thicken up, and just give it a nice stir and it's ready for serving. Okay, it's plating up time. Now, let's not stuff it up now. The best way to plate it up is get your veggies on the plate first, and then as you're thinly slicing that roast meat, lay that on the plate and cover it with your gravy and serve immediately. Well, there you have it. The way to perfecting a lamb roast is by not overcooking it, using herbs and spices that complement the flavour of the meat, and by giving it that 30-minute rest. You are going to be guaranteed succulent, tasty lamb roast every time you cook it. And realistically, you cannot beat that. Thanks again for watching. Cheers. And that sounded like crap. Or if you really want, use your hand and burn yourself. I really don't care. Fly. There's a fly somewhere and it's annoying me. Put in the vegetable. It's going to take about 2 hours. The first thing. Damn it. Well, there you have it. The way to perfecting a lamb roast is by... Well, there you have it.